Well, the NFC West is off to an interesting start. We've got the 1-1 Cardinals who just demolished the Rams. We've got the 0-2 Rams who are all in the hospital. The 1-1 Niners are really reeling right now with injuries. Debo is out a couple weeks now with a calf strain.
Yeah, McCaffrey on the IR.
McCaffrey's on the IR.
And your first place undefeated Seattle Seahawks.
And your Seattle Seahawks, heard here on The Fan every weekend or Monday or Thursday or maybe an occasional Tuesday, maybe a Christmas Wednesday. Just depends on the day, the time, the year, etc. They are in first place at 2-0. We're going to have Brian Nemhauser. He does Hawk Blogger. He's covered the team for years. He's written some interesting things about their defense with Mike McDonald. Statistically speaking, they are a top 5 defense right now. They look the part. Geno, I mentioned it in the NFL Factoids over the weekend. He had no off-target throws with 40-plus attempts against the New England Patriots. And their sack rate isn't particularly great if you want to nitpick or criticize. But Seattle off to a really nice start, 2-0, in what appears to be early, a weird NFC West.
A very weird NFC West. Like somebody tweeted us, too, speaking of this, about Kyler Murray and saying there's no way that Bryce Young is shorter than Kyler Murray. And I don't know what the difference is in height and what they're measured at and what they're listed at. But what I would say, the glaring difference is Kyler Murray is an elite athlete. He is one of the best athletes in the NFL. And there are still questions, despite his start this season, about where he ranks and what can he accomplish. He's had really good starts to years. There was a couple of years ago, I want to say like 8 weeks through the season, he was the MVP frontrunner, and then he got banged up. He couldn't move around as much. You could hem him into the pocket, and everything kind of collapsed for the Cardinals the rest of the way. So that's the primary difference. Bryce Young is not an elite athlete, but that's not the segment we're doing.
I would also say Young was drafted after Murray. Murray has accomplished nothing in his career. He has not won a playoff game.
No, I think he's been to the playoffs once and hasn't won a game.
He's just coming back from a season-ending injury.
Yep.
And if you want to argue like physical differences, he might not be taller than Bryce Young. He's clearly thicker, and you can just see he clearly has a stronger arm.
You can.
There was nothing about Bryce Young going into that draft, to me, that was like, yeah, can't miss prospect at number 1 that you trade stuff for.
No, really good college quarterback, but his size was always a primary concern and will be when you have offensive linemen who are a foot taller than you. Makes it a little bit difficult to throw the football. Here's the tough part that I have with the NFC West right now.
Okay.
As we're talking about the Cardinals, again, we've seen them have really good starts to years. Now, is this it? Is this the year they're going to stay healthy and put it all together and be in the mix in week 12, week 13, week 14, week 15? Or is this going to be another year where Kyler gets off to a great start, he's running around making plays, then he tweaks a hamstring and he can't quite move, and all of a sudden they're a little more one-dimensional offensively? That's the hard read that I have with the Cardinals. And all the numbers on the Seahawks and the metrics, they look amazing. They've also played a rookie quarterback in his first start in the NFL, which you should desperately win that game, and then they went on the road and played a team who maybe is more feisty than I have given them credit for. But I still genuinely believe that the New England Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and time will bear that out as the season goes on.
I don't believe them to be a playoff team, certainly. Yeah.
And then this week, Seattle's coming home, and who do they get at home this week?
They get the Miami Dolphins, who just lost their quarterback and are probably going to play Snoop Huntley.
Probably.
Or Skylar Thompson.
And so you're going to go to 3-0, and I'm going to look at you and say, are you good? I know
You don't know if they're good.
I know they're not bad. How about that? I know the Seahawks are not bad, but are they a legitimate contender in the NFC? And I can't draw that conclusion off of Bo Nix and Jacoby Brissett.
That's an interesting poll question. Do you know they're not bad, or do you know they're good? The Seattle Seahawks. That's something we should throw up on the Twitter at Dirt and Sprague.
I mean, Geno's looked awesome, but some of your defensive numbers, like those are going to be inflated because of who you play.
Well, but your coordinator, so Hawk blogger Brian Nemhauser, who will be on the show on Thursday, he wrote a piece about defense and how innovative McDonald has been in his young career. And you're seeing this kind of around the league. The reason these quarterbacks are struggling, Dirt, blitz disguises, coverage disguises. They're waiting until last seconds to get in there, what they're going to run defensively. They're throwing quarterbacks off left and right. It's why these numbers are so down, and many are arguing defense is now caught up to the offense.
Yeah.
For a long time, we were like, well, should we even count these stats? It seems very unfair to the NFL past legends that, like, Mahomes will have... well, suddenly it's a struggle to throw for 300 yards in a game.
It is.
So it's interesting to see what the impact he has had defensively. Again, they're still not getting to a quarterback at an elite level. That's troubling. But everything else for them has gone well so far. To your point, Jacoby Brissett and Bo Nix don't necessarily scream, we've really been tested here.
Not a playoff quarterback.
But I also think they're going to win this weekend because they're hosting Miami, and I just don't trust what Miami has right now given their quarterback uncertainty. And, going 3-0, the percentages say you've got a leg up on a ton of teams to get in the dance.
No question about that.
Now, where do they stack in the NFC? I tend to just say this, and I said it yesterday. I don't think I'm drawing conclusions of anybody outside of the obvious offers for like the first 8 weeks.
That's a fair
8-9 weeks. I want to see these teams and really get a feel for what they've done, who they've beat, how they look to me. I'm not going to say you're 3-0. Oh, you're a contender to win the NFC this year.
And the success do they have in games that they are winning and are successful? Does the game plan look repeatable, or are there fluky things that happened like last night? Philly gave Atlanta a chance to win it.
I mean, I'm not saying this is a fluky thing per se.
No. But that's what you want to see after 6. Okay, you're 5-2 after 7 games and a bye.
Sure.
What do those 5 wins look like? How many of them look the same or similar, as opposed to how much of it is some random stuff that happens in the NFL.
There's little things that happen in games all the time. The Patriots are up 6 if Julian Love doesn't block a field goal.
Yes.
Like if the Seahawks house.
That's a difference, right?
If they house the Dolphins at home, but Skylar Thompson's there and they have to put Tyler Huntley in, how much stock are you putting in
I don't think
that?
you're putting a lot of stock into that. You're happy. I mean, you take the dub any time in the National Football League. Minshew just beat Lamar Jackson. But I don't think you're going in there and you're saying, well, we're 3-0. We just beat Snoop Huntley and Skylar Thompson. We're now the front runner of the NFC. The NFC might just be really weird this year, too. On the other side of that, maybe they will prove themselves to be a legit contender.
They could. I mean, the Lions haven't looked great through 2 weeks.
Nope.
Tampa is a 2-0 team, but I think there's a bit of this with them as well.
Are the Saints going to score 40 a game?
Right, are the Saints for real? When does Jordan Love
football?
play again, and can they continue to win games with Malik Willis at quarterback? Are the Vikings an actual playoff team? I don't know. Like, the Bears were a hot team coming in, and now nobody's picking them through 2 weeks. So, to that point, the NFC might just be funky. What I would say in the next couple of weeks, one, the concern for them defensively is that they gave up nearly 200 rushing yards to New England. You knew New England was going to run the ball. They were able to run the ball on you. That's going to be a blueprint that's out there that you got to get better at against certain teams who are going to be better offensively. They're likely going to win this weekend. If you don't, different conversation. You're 3-0. That does mean it's a great chance for you to make a run to get to the playoffs. But I think when it comes to can they make noise, you then go to Detroit on Monday Night Football, where you've had success in years past, but that's a playoff team. You get the lowly Giants back at home.
That should be a win.
And then you have a 5-game stretch where you get the 49ers at home, the Falcons on the road, the Bills at home, the Rams at home, and then the 49ers on the road. So that's a stretch. I don't know how healthy the Niners are going to be. I don't know quite what to make of Atlanta through 2 games. They should be 0-2.
Bills are the only one in there that I'm like, oh.
Yeah, the Niners have also body bagged the Seahawks how many times in a row now?
Well, the Niners are a different situation right now than they have been in years past.
No doubt. They're banged up. But that's also a team that you're going to have to beat if you want to win the division. And if you're Seattle and you want to make noise in the playoffs, winning the division, having a bye, having home field advantage, all of that stuff can come into play. And so that's a stretch. The Rams, I know, look like a shell of themselves right now, but that game's in 2 months. What are the Rams going to look like in 2 months? I don't know. So I think that's a stretch where you're going to find out a lot more. You win this weekend, your odds will exponentially increase to make the playoffs because of how chaotic the NFC is.